Typically, a day would begin very early, rush to reach the factory on time. Inside the factory, you can imagine, assembly line production. It's a lunch break of about half an hour, and the overtime can be up to 11:30. The next day, the work again begins in the same way. It's not as if they can come an hour late or anything like that. So they barely have time to really even cook their own food. It's important to remember that most garment workers anywhere in the world are women.
These are workers who have worked on every stitch in the clothing, and workers who have created the raw materials, the workers who have designed it, who have done everything. It makes me very angry and sad, and also I hope that the consumers in this country become much more active in making sure that these brands do not get away with making their products with slave labor.
They work enormous amount of overtime, up to 16 to 18 hours of work in a day. Sometimes they are made to work 7 days a week. A lot of it is forced overtime for many different reasons. One is that the minimum wage is so low that workers are forced to work overtime to make up for some more money that they need to earn. Or the employer will say, work this overtime or else don't come back to work tomorrow. They are rarely paid the legal benefits, one of which is health, and the other one is pension. Even the legal minimum wage, which is barely enough to keep you out of poverty, is violated. They may not have proper drinking water. They may not get water in the toilets. Often what happens is that they don't get toilet breaks, or don't get them sufficiently, or they cannot go when they want. So there is a lot of discomfort that they face, and this is partly due to the whole pressure on how many pieces they must churn out every day. The management hires goons or thugs to basically discipline the workers. And they could just be floating around in the factory, or they could do duty as supervisors and sort of middle-level managers. If a worker doesn't finish a product on time, or if the worker went to the toilet when the worker was not supposed to, or whatever, it's very common for the supervisor to just slap or verbally abuse the worker. This whole use of rough elements to control the workers is very common. When you enter it, you may not see that immediately because the lights are there and there are certain cosmetic things that the supplier has learned to take care of because of consumer activism, so that the brands can say, oh yeah, it's kind of airy and it's got light and so on. But in actual conditions, it is a miserable working condition. And this is also related to their living conditions, where they could live in a very little room with 4 or 5 workers in a room because one worker cannot afford to pay for the whole rent. So in a way, it's a sort of skewed development where development is for those who consume, but not development for those who manufacture the products.